this is scary.
Hmm.
And but while it is scary for me, I think that it's important that we don't forget our LGBTQ people
Hmm.
and especially trans people.
Yep.
You need to fight for their rights. And we need to keep fighting for their rights. You can't give up on them.
We are going to be talking about Sweden. A lot of people don't probably know about this because, this is the United States and we don't give a fuck about anything outside our borders. We don't give a shit inside our borders. So why would we know? But this is super important. Everybody say hi to Tardulv.
Here I am. Hi.
What's going on? What's going on? Thank you. Thank you. So you set an alarm to wake up because what time is it there? It's like 1:20 and
Yeah, it's 1:23 a.m. So I went to bed around 10
yep.
and went up around 12
Well, I
or
appreciate this.
midnight.
I really appreciate you coming here. This is actually important. I know we're going to talk about a lot of different things, but one of the things that like I really wanted you to come on for was because the story we're going to get into, right? And it's going to be a lot, but I'm looking at it from the context of the headlines you're sharing in the Discord and what you're sharing and what you're experiencing is like a MAGA wet dream. Like, yes, I want my government to do that, So I think it's important for us to be paying attention. So
Yeah, it's been going fast too. Like it was election, and the leftists lost, and now it's gone fucking haywire. And yeah, I think we out trumped you
yeah,
on this one.
which is super surprising. Like, well, hold on, time out. Surprising to me, who doesn't know dick about Sweden. So I mean, let's start off there. Is this surprising? Like, is it surprising to you?
Not really that it would eventually end up like this, but the way it ended up here is kind of weird. As a history student, I haven't seen anything like it, actually, in any of the Scandinavian countries at all, which makes it's almost cool like in a sense, but not like, an actual coup. They haven't toppled a
Right.
government. They have won a democratic election. So
Sure.
it's not that they actually couped, but they did something. They did a move that is unheard of, in parliamentary democracy that Sweden actually is. So I think we're gonna talk a little bit about that. I don't know what Americans know about Scandinavian parliamentary democracy.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's go ahead and just start with the assumption that it's nothing, like zero.
yeah, okay. So Sweden and Scandinavia is from the beginning monarchies, right? So we are inheriting the medieval Europe's monarchical tradition, so to
Yeah.
speak. We go from about 140 years ago, maybe, we walk slowly to a democracy, right? So we start to getting voting rights for people. This is finalized in 1942, I think, is finalized that everyone has a vote. Before that is people that can support themselves through income.
Oh, so
And
something similar to the U.S. in that it used to only be landowning people, which
yeah,
obviously equated to you had to have money, you come from money. But for
yeah.
you, for Sweden, you're talking about pre 1940. What'd you say it was?
Yeah, so in 19, I think 1918,
Okay. Oh, 1918. Okay. Okay.
no, 1940 is when we do it. Definitely everyone has a vote. I think 1918 is when women get a vote, but it's only for wealthy women. Uh, and we go just back about 30 years from there. So like, let's say 1870 or something like that, that we are starting to see a movement to democracy, like
Sure.
parliamentary democracy. and that is also the growth of the social democracy that Sweden becomes during the early 20s and 30s, right? We have, so we start off with a workers' movement that fights for democracy. We get democracy, and we always have the right-wing parties like the liberals and what would you call let's call them conservatives or whatever.
Sure.
It's not, translatable all over the board,
Sure.
but the capitalists, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
are constantly fighting. So it takes up to 1940 until everyone has a vote.
I
Our
see.
democracy is not as old as the American democracy in that sense.
Okay. In that time, were there any? So like for us, we went in similar stages, right? With landowning rights, and then everybody, and then women. But there's a second stage to that, and that's non-white people, particularly allowing black people to vote. Was there any kind of like ethnic restrictions as in your guys' progression, or did it
No,
go landowning and then everyone?
landowning and then everyone.
Got
We
it.
have not had a civil rights movement in the same way that America has. We have not had any racial segregation in the same way. Like, we can talk about racial segregation another time because we do have it, like with like the Sapmi in the northern Sweden and stuff like that. But it's not in the same way as to Americans and blacks during the civil rights.
We'll definitely get into it a little bit because especially when we get to the part on the changes that we're seeing in Sweden now, and how one of the most scary parts of it, the thing that becomes the typical right wing, is how they're treating nationalism and immigration and basically non-white Swedish people.
Yeah, we would get into that.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but Sweden during the 1900s, while America is burning, basically, is my
Yeah.
way to see American history during the 1900s. You have like the Second World War, you had the Civil Rights, you have Vietnam,
Yep.
all of that.
Korea, all that. Yep.
Yeah, so Sweden has a very different way here. We start off strong with the Racial Biological Institute. This is a way to do scientific racism, basically.
Eugenics.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
eugenic. It starts off as an experiment on epilepsy. And those that did that experiment, I think that is 1916, something like that. They that do that springs right into racial biology as soon as they get state funded, right? So, and they get state funded. This is very complicated history, and you know, like this. I don't want to push away any blame from what happens,
Sure.
but they are lying to the state. Like, that's how they are getting money. They are lying about the results because in the earliest stages of Swedish democracy, during the beginning of the 1900s, there is a thing that the social democrats start, that is to check up on the population, right? Uh, it's called, uh, yeah, what is it called? Like people's health, like the
Okay.
majority, they want to see how people are living in the country, right?
Okay.
So people can seek grants to get funding for their projects in order to secure stuff like, we need to check up so that people are healthy, we need to check up on people's teeth, we need to check up on people's mental health, and we need to fight the extreme alcoholism we had in the country back then. This backfires naturally, because
Right.
of course it does.
Yeah. I was waiting for the plot twist.
Yeah, because while it's all good, a lot of assholes get a lot of money. It is. So while they're getting state funded, and while we are basically just giving the Nazis the propaganda they want, which we did, we also grow our welfare state, right? With that, because they both come. What do you call it? They are both of the same program,
I see. Okay.
basically.
So
They
they're growing
come at the same
concurrently.
time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're growing concurrently. So we get a welfare state, we get state funded health care, we get dental care, we get all of that. So up to 1940, uh, Sweden was doing pretty good because we were, staying out of the World War.
Yeah.
Um, and after World War, we were basically unharmed. So there was no stopping us in just growing this welfare state and
Right.
just being socially democratic all the fucking way, right?
Right.
So
Well, everybody else was doing reconstructing and trying to rebuild after the war. Sweden's like, we don't have to put our money to that, and
yeah, we're
yeah.
already there. We beaten alcoholism. We're out of
Right.
it. The problem with Sweden is that we never had to eject Nazism, which is we quietly just stepped down from it, started supporting the Allies, walked away. No people were, convicted for anything they had done, and no one just we just stopped talked about it. But
But you all benefited from it definitely.
oh yeah, but
Yeah.
but the Nazis never went away, right? So they were still within the system,
Yep.
which is a problem usually.
Yeah. No.
So we still have a very strong urge for the rise of white power, in a sense, which is why Sweden has always had a very, pretty thriving anti-fascist action cult,
Yeah.
so to speak. It's not a cult, but
Right. I know what you
the
mean.
group.
Yeah.
And we're still strong today, but we weren't prepared for the resurgence of the Nazis. And the Nazis resurged about in 1988 when the Sweden Democrats becomes a party. It's a party started by Nazis. It contains Nazis, and what they do, up until now, is trying to clean up their act. They're trying to become, not the Nazis,
Yeah.
but they're still doing Nazi shit. I
Yeah.
can't like they
They're trying to be digestible and get better at their dog whistling.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the dog whistling has worked scaringly well,
Right.
I would like to say, and they are now in power in a way more scary way than you think, because they are not a part of the government. They are in the shadows of the government, which is, I was so joyful when I learned that,
Wow.
and not at all scared as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was scared for you. You were sharing those links in the Discord, and I'm like, this is not real. Like this cannot be real.
And that is basically what I mean with they did a coup, but not actually a coup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
That's crazy.
what
Sweden
they
official, what's
did-
going on? You good?
hey, Sweden official. No, what they did was that they got so many votes that they were to be part of a government, right? So parliamentary democracy works like the different parties with whatever percentage they get in votes can talk to each other and build blocks, and that block will build the government, right? So they try to create a majority of percentage between each other. So they shut out the social democrats. They took in the fucking liberals of all fucking people, and they yes, let's work with the fascists, like liberals always do. I don't know history. I have nothing to say about that. But
I'm sensing some sarcasm.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And what they did was basically that the front of the government, like the ministers, like the posts that you have up front for government, like foreign affairs and stuff like that, there were a lot of moderates, liberals, and Christian Democrats, right?
Right.
But the departments were seated by the Swedish Democrats, and those are not officials.
Is Sweden official one of yours? Is he a watcher from? Are they a watcher from yours? Do you know that name? Sweden official.
No, I don't know who that is.
Okay, because I got an SD and a heart, so
Yeah.
I'm keeping my eye on you, Sweden official. You're free to just sit and listen. Respawn. Yeah, they've been. I'm wondering, does religion play politics in Sweden the same way? Yeah, is religion a big deal there? Does religion play a part in any of what we're seeing going on?
No. But like, yeah, you have the Christian Democrats, but they're like your evangelicals, right?
Yeah.
But they have so little support that it doesn't really matter. They don't have the money that yours have and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it matters, but I will say that the members of that party are infiltrated by the Hillsong Church. So in some capacity, yeah,
Oh,
it
wow.
will matter. It will matter in the future, but not right now.
But
I
got
would
it.
say.
Got it. Okay. All right. Beginning 19th century, you start getting into the eugenics. You said it backfires.
Yeah.
How does it backfire? Like, what happens with that, and how does it relate to what's going on today?
Yeah. Okay. So what we get is that when this movement starts, when we're gonna start the welfare state, and we're gonna check up on how people are living and their health and all that, a lot of grants are given out to various researchers, mainly doctors and stuff like that,
Right.
and they try to conduct, experiments and stuff like that. Horrible experiments, many of them I might tell you, on people, eugenics, for example, race biology, and we kind of legitimize a lot of the Nazi talking points for them. Like Hitler might have been, having a fever and writing Mein Kampf with a fever of a lot of degrees,
Right.
but all of a sudden, someone comes along and say, "I have science to back up this,"
Of course. Of course.
and
we
that
start getting
is
into
funded.
skull shapes and everything else, stuff like that.
Yeah, and that is funded, but by taxpayer money, by things, because the state doesn't really control this project, and we kind of legitimize the Nazi thing, like
Yeah.
the Aryan race. So here we get the idea of the Scandinavian race, right? So from that, you have the Nazi Germany portraying the Scandinavians as, the Aryan race.
The Ubermensch.
And-
Yep.
Yeah, the Übermensch. And that thing has never died.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how it works. Like, this is incredibly complicated history.
Right.
But that's how I tell you it at the most simple part
Yeah.
of it. And that is why
Oh, thank you.
have-
Appreciate the gifted sub, Anteater.
And that is why we have parties like the Sweden Democrats, who is, by the way, one of the founders of the Sweden Democrats is a veteran SS soldier. I shit you not. So,
Wow.
yeah, it never died,
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we are again. What they did was, in the middle of the 1900s, they did a regroup and just came back soaring.
Yeah.
And we should have been prepared. We weren't, obviously.
So this is what we're talking about, right? Rise of the right, the far right party in Sweden. Thanks for the bits, the little corgi, I love it. Rise of the far right party in Sweden was both expected and shocking, right? And so that's a good way to put that. I like that. The rise of the right wing. So we won't read the whole thing, but we'll just go wave top. The Sweden Democrats, as we've been talking about, to become the country's second largest party with a claim to government, has been a slow-moving earthquake over the past decade. So actually, we'll go ahead and just pause right there. So we'll talk about the second biggest government.
So that's why we are here, because the
Yeah.
moderates are smaller than the Sweden Democrats.
Yeah.
That is why they could that is why they can play this power play, where we don't want any forefront people, we want the departments. And the other parties are yeah, absolutely do that. Because they are afraid, because if the Sweden Democrats fuck off, they don't have a claim to government, right?
Yeah, okay. The world still regards Sweden as a bedrock of Nordic liberalism, and its move toward the more populist right, based on grievances about crime, migration, identity, and globalization. Those all, like, it's like dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle.
Globalization, yes, right.
Right, right. Sweden is very much an activist and an ideologically charged nation, and in part because we had such an idyllic 20th century, we thought we could afford it. So the popular discontent over globalization and migration and crime we saw in Trump took longer to leak itself through the protective structures of the establishment here. It's kind of like what did you say to call them? I just want to call them Skogs. Call them Skogs. Yeah, we basically saw what happened in the U.S. in 2016 and said, that looks fun. Let's do that here.
Yeah, but I want to add. You asked about religion, and I want to add. Of course, the Sweden Democrats had a argumentative style to inject Christianity into it, right? So they are like, we are traditionalists, and we have Christian values.
That's right.
But the difference is that has no real political power. Like, that is just a front that they put up to.
Was that a motivating force though? Like, because like in here, when we say
no one fucking cares about it. It's like, even Sweden Democrats are usually secular, so it doesn't really matter. What matters is the tradition and the nationalistic feeling of that the party tries to give us, right? Well, so that is what. Christianity is only traditional.
You know what? You kind of in a way got to give them credit. To be like,
oh yeah, they did it good.
No. to basically go like, you know what? You know how the Americans like pretend they're not Nazis and they just kind of like hide behind this. We're not gonna even do that. We're just gonna be Nazis. We're not gonna even talk about God. We're just gonna be like,
oh yeah, absolutely. and they fucking got us good. I'm telling you, like, how did this happen? It's impressively it's impressively evil how this happened. And I tried to say this for so long. Like, you're so fucking dumb letting this happen. How the did this happen? So let's go. Let's go from that.
Yeah. So Sweden gets a new right-wing government. M. What is that?
M is the moderates.
The moderates.
KD is the Christian Democrats.
Got it.
And L is the liberals.
Okay. Moderate with far right SD support. So that is this right here. This allegiance is what makes the power happen. The moderates, the Christian Democrats, the liberals, and the SDs all came together. They all came into agreement, and now they run shit because they have the supermajority and basically could just vote anything into power, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let me stop you right there. The government has the right to impose their things, but they still have to go through, let's say, like your Senate, right? So in the Senate, we still have left representatives that can vote on motions.
Okay, so there is some level of stopgap there.
Yeah, they can still fight stuff.
Are they?
The thing is that if the Senate is majority right, there is a, overwhelmingly risk that the right get through their shit because they're gonna vote for it.
I see. Yeah. Okay, so it's bad, but it's not all doom. It's not doom just yet. There is one question before we continue. What was the question that I said we'll ask later, and then I said we're gonna write that down, and then okay. There is one thing, I don't know if it relates, but I heard Sweden is the top of the list for fatal shootings in Europe recently. Why do you think that is? I guess first of all, like, have you heard that, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, that was a major point in the elections, right? So in the election
Oh, because
runnings
they're talking about
were that,
crime and stuff, but they're blaming crime
yeah,
on immigration.
of course.
Right.
The real reason for that is obviously narcotics, and the narcotics business, and that we are hard on narcotics in the law, which makes this big bucks money because it's not legal or anything like
Oh,
that.
good. So you guys have a war on drugs too that is doing really
Oh
well
yeah,
and
we
being
we
super
stole
effective.
that right from you. We
Wow.
stole that right from the
You know,
USA.
I'm
So
surprised we don't hear more about this. Like, you hear the United States and the UK, you hear the United States and Israel, but I feel like it should be the United States and Sweden because it's like a mirror image, you know?
yeah, so imagine, LA and New York in the
Uh huh.
beginning of the 90s, the
Right.
end of the 80s. Yeah, that is exactly what is happening here.
Got it. Got
So
it. Like, oh wow,
um
that's a really smart way to oppress your brown people. We're gonna do that here too.
yeah, it's
Damn.
fucking amazing.
Yeah. Damn. All right, let's get back and see. Let's see some of this bullshit. All right. The parties called their agreement the is it Tito
Tita,
Tita
Tita.
Tita agreement, named after the place where they negotiated it. All right.
Yeah, it's a castle.
So this person, Nasreddin, did the work for us. Good.
Thank
Cooperation
you.
rules. SD gets civil servants in all departments supervising the minister's work, including the prime minister. Now, what does that mean to supervise it? And if you haven't dug into this, don't worry. I'm not playing
Oh
stumpy dummy.
yeah,
So
I had dug into this like a motherfucker, but like, yeah, that what that means is that the government is not going to be able to do a decision without SD approving it. They are being held hostage on their free will, mind you.
so that seems counterintuitive to what a prime minister is.
Yeah, I know. That's why I say they are shadow government.
Wow.
It's like they are holding themselves hostage on their free will. I don't have any answers for this. I said
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I have never seen this. Like
All budgets and bills by the government shall be negotiated with SD. Deals between the moderate Christian Democrats and liberals and SNC are basically impossible as SC rule out SD. What is Oh, these are the socialists and the centrists.
Social Democrats
Social
and
Democrats.
the Central Party.
Okay. And basically they're ruled. Okay, so they're overridden by SD. They can't. So SD will override them, so they don't care about their votes.
Yeah,
That
they have fucked
seems
themselves
illegal.
freely. Yeah, right. This shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, like it's not math. It's not like you're like crossing out the common denominators or some shit. You know?
It's so fucked up. I got to like really. I have read this document and I can't fucking believe what I'm reading.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so check this out. This is part of the scary part. This is where you start getting into, because I really do. So I want to say this, right? You know that book, like Everybody You Hate Is Hitler, right? And so I do think, I do think it's important to say that you can be a piece of shit, right? You can be a classist. You can hate poor people, without being a Nazi, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
But
This
of
is
all
just Nazi shit.
all the shitty stuff, this right here is where we get into how we start approaching
Like
Nazi.
this. I'm gonna say it like this. You have an idea, like you can do fascism, without the immigration clause, really.
Right.
Which is all right. So you're a fascist.
Bad.
What?
Right.
Bad.
Right.
Bad. But then you can do the move of being a Nazi,
Yes.
which is a fascist with added steps.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and that is what we are doing. We're like, yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Nazi this shit up.
A course on how to make fascism worse. Let's see, DNA.
Yeah, well, I am laughing right now, but really,
No,
I'm like,
I hear
hell.
it. I know it's exactly what you're saying. This is like it's a sense of ridiculousness to where it's like you can't even imagine this happening, right? No, I get it. So DNA registration, this part, like I didn't even finish the sentence before I was like my mouth dropped. DNA registration of residency permit seekers. More directed search to undocumented.
DNA, the most reliable
Yes.
science here on Earth.
Absolutely. Right up there with the lie detector test.
Yeah.
More directed search to undocumented residents for deportation. Family reunification only after 2 years of legal residency. Abolition of permanent asylum. And cut of the, I don't know what that is, the UNCHR.
Wait, you cut the that is the UN organ for aid
Human
for
rights?
children.
I got it. Children's human rights, maybe?
Yeah.
Quota refugees from 5,000
to 900.
900. Wow.
Like, what they want to do is that they are trying to get at it. Like, the EU has a minimal standard of immigrants that you can lawfully deny, right? So you have you can't go lower than this because then you're a monster.
Okay. And there's probably also like penalties and you know for yeah.
But I'm gonna say those lower standards still monsters. But
for sure. That's just why nobody goes to that lowest standard.
Yeah, because it fucked up.
Yeah, except Sweden.
Oh yeah, except us. Yeah. We just like, we just love that shit.
Yeah.
And then you do what they do with the quota from the UNCR is those are things that we have agreed on internationally that we are gonna take care of.
Wow.
Like, those are 5K immigrants that we, Sweden, who sells weapons, are legally required as our responsibility for sending weapons to other countries to take in. And the UN picks those people, and we can't really, deny it legally. So what they want to do is want to cut that part from 5K to 900 people.
Yeah, more than 80% cut.
And that's people that the UN says has emergency reasons.
Right.
For asylum.
Yeah.
And we are just gonna f them.
Like, and we're again, just to say, this is not about immigration. This is not just accepting people who I want to live in Sweden. We're literally talking about refugees, people escaping for their lives from areas. Yes.
Handpicked by the United Nations.
Right.
As people that are in turmoil that needs to get that out.
There you go. Yeah. Swedish proficiency requirement for citizenship. So I don't know how, if you've heard me. I know the people who are regular in the chat have heard me say this a lot, but I used to be. I wasn't always politically active. I'll say that as a little bit of a buffer, but I definitely used to be on the right. Right. I was a young 25-year-old. Military, Okay, good. Yeah,
I'm fine with all of that.
So from this, that's how I can kind of read this and go, that just sounds to them, that's a dog whistling thing. It sounds normal. Like, yeah, if you're gonna come to Sweden, why wouldn't you know Swedish? But it's a way to kind of enforce that nationalism and then go, how many people who don't speak Swedish can come here if you're not already Norwegian?
I don't know how to tell you this. I know it might be a shock to Americans, but in Sweden we talk English as well,
right?
Which should work fine,
right?
Swedish is, it's good if you know Swedish for your job if you're gonna work with elderly people and stuff like that. but we know English.
Right.
So if you come from, like, we say the Congos, it's fine. We understand what you're saying.
Right.
This is ridiculous. Campaigns by state authorities to advocate for immigrants. Yeah, this is the type of thing that the
Hey, thanks for the follow,
did,
Scogs.
the Nazis did to the Jews. Like, you can walk back to your own home countries, like Romania and Poland, which they later invaded, by the way. I digress. But like, you can fuck off from Germany freely, and we won't do anything. But if you do, if you don't, we will put you in camps. And Sweden has had camps. So
camps. Jesus.
Do you remember the American-Japanese internal?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but I have heard of them.
Yeah, Sweden had the same, but for communists and syndicalists.
Oh wow!
I did a stream about an attack on a Swedish newspaper that happened in the 1940s. Today, actually, and that involves a little bit about those camps. So what we did, without going through the courts, people that were communists and syndicalists were put in those camps to build roads. So no, it was not, Auschwitz, but you know what? Fuck that, but it's fucked up.
No, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. No, I mean,
we did that, and that's the ultimate resolution of everything that we're talking about right now. Like, if someone don't want to go home, you're gonna force them, right? But if their country doesn't allow them to come home, where are you gonna put them? In a camp. We already know there will be a camp.
So you either go home, but if your country doesn't, is there an option to go home and die? Because that's what we do, and it happens all the time.
We're not allowed, really, in reality, where we don't live anymore, to send people home to the death.
Yeah,
but we're about to enter NATO, which has Turkey asking us to send them the Kurds that lives in Sweden, which means that we have, you know what? Let's send them to their death. That's fun. That's good.
Holy shit.
And
holy shit.
That is not even in this fucking shit you're reading right now. That is a whole other ballpark. But that means that if you want to send an Afghan home, right, and you call the Taliban, and you tell the Taliban, like, hello, Mr. Taliban, do you want this person back home? And they say, no, we don't like that person back home. And you're like, oh shit, that's bad. We don't want them either. Where are you gonna put it?
Because they don't make enough money. Yeah.
In a camp. It's like, I get.
But like Respawn just said, though, it is a summer camp, though. So there's probably like canoes and learning how to tie knots, stuff like that. That kind of camp.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens in those camps.
Right.
Usually not diseases. Usually
right.
not dysentery. Usually not typhus.
Forced sterilization, re-education. No, none of that.
None of that. It's a summer camp where everyone gets to read a book.
Yep.
And it's all fun and games.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm getting.
No, this is all you can do, right? Because all you can do is kind of like, it is so ridiculous, and it's so like, what the is going on, that unless you're just gonna go and scream into a pillow, all you can do is really laugh at it, And
because I'm getting insane.
Right.
It's like, what the am I reading, and what the am I living in?
Right.
Can I go out tomorrow? Am I going to meet my friend tomorrow? Well, right. I have no idea.
Right. Now I do want to go through these points because there is another. Yeah. There was another part I want you to talk about after this.
The crime point.
After this, what I want you to we'll talk about a little bit of hopium here, and and I would like to know what could be or what is being done to fight back. But let's go through these first. Let's go through these first.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
So crime, police. Now, see, here we go. Now this is my passion area right here.
Yeah. You already know a lot about cops in the USA.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna.
ACAB is an international movement. God, dude. Police can search without suspicion in high crime zones. All right. So before this, did you all have a probable cause? Sort of like there wasn't, even before this. You guys didn't have that. Like you can't search a car.
Oh God! In December last year, something changed, and that is not the new government's idea. It was the old one. It changed. So a cop can, without a prosecutor, call for a search.
What about without probable cause? Like I don't even.
He can just make that fucking shit up.
Yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't really matter. But when he does that, and when he decides to have a search, he can search your home, your car, your places you are frequently in, your basement, your laundry room, they can do already all that shit. So I don't know why this is a thing.
So you said something interesting earlier. You said they could just make that up. Right. I understand that cops lie, right? And that's fine. Now they don't even have to lie, because it seems like what the emphasis is without suspicion. Like, I don't even have to be suspicion. You, bitch, open your door. I'm coming in.
They can say, we smell some shit.
No. And that's what I'm getting at. This is without suspicion. Because that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Before
okay.
right. I smelled something and I got to go talk to the prosecutor. And then it became, I smelled something and I don't have to talk to the prosecutor. Now it's like, I don't smell anything. I'm still searching your house. You know?
Yeah, they can kick down my door right now.
Yeah.
For no reason. And search my house.
Do you live in a high crime zone?
No.
Okay.
I live in a small town, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But it's like if they get my name in some way in another investigation, they would just be able to roll up here and just kick my door down and do that.
And that's how we do the digestible dog whistle stuff. Like Respawn just said, like, well, they shouldn't have been poor, right? And that's exactly it. What do we have what is the relationship with high crime areas? High poverty areas, right? And they know that.
Yeah. There is nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And I usually hate a lot on like American law enforcement because fuck American law enforcement.
Because you should, yeah.
But this is fucking scary.
Yeah.
The level that they are proposing.
Here's something interesting right here about this increased punishment for rape, right? This is the kind of stuff that when you know, people like us say, wow, this list of shit is garbage, right? They go, oh, you're mad about increased punishment for rape? I'm like, I find things like this to be one of the most sinister parts of this list. Why? Because you could look at the DNA thing and go, wow, that's up. And I'm sure a lot of people do. But I'd be willing to bet that there is a large percentage of people who, as they're going through the list, will come to increased punishments for rape and go, well, they have to throw something good in there. I'm like, no, time out. Because
they're not gonna increase.
But who is going to get convicted of rape? Who are the ones that are going to get away with it? That there's not enough evidence, or we're not, you know, if it's anything like the United States, and by what you're telling me in the history of Sweden in the last 100 years, it seems like there's a lot of similarities there. If it's anything like the United States, what we have is a class of people who are never going to get convicted of rape because they have enough money for the legal defense. They don't get convicted, so then you go back into the deal where immigrants and the poor are the only people who are going to get convicted of rape. And so increased punishments. Again, everything in this list is directed at the poor and immigrants.
What they're trying to do in like, I fucking hate the United States. Like, it's I love the United States in some level, like on a cultural level. I fucking love the United States, but I fucking hate the United States. Like how it's built up to be this class society that is very heavily divided, and what they're trying to do here is creating the same
Right.
type of class society where the rich can do whatever the they want,
That's it.
and the rest of us, we're gonna get a boot in the face.
That's it.
That's just, it's so painfully obvious. It's like you're not even trying to hide it.
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
continue.
Street surveillance cameras, criminalization of begging on the street. Again, not even trying to hide it. Just like poor people, right? That's all these points, and you can go, okay, all right, let me sum it up. Immigrants, poor people, the end. Pass it, vote.
Yeah, because what we got when it comes to begging on the streets are people from Romania that are coming here and begging on the streets. And like, are we gonna make those illegal? I haven't realized before I did this stream how actually fundamentally fucked up this shit is.
Yeah.
It's like,
and what's embarrassing is, and I hope anybody, if you're here in the chat or watching this on YouTube, this is not a wow, look how fucked up Sweden is. This is, if anybody's watching this and saying, wow, this is fucked up, this is Sweden doing the playbook of the United States. This is Sweden enacting everything that the United States wishes it could get through. Here's the deal. Here's what's scary, right? And it kind of goes into that whole first they came for the Jews and I wasn't a Jew and that whole thing, right?
yeah.
The next step is going to be anybody who doesn't agree with the government in general, because we've already.
It's gonna be me, which is
exactly
scary.
No, exactly, because here we go. We've already established precedent, right? Now, here's Tardulv spouting leftist propaganda on his channel. Somebody reports you, and your house is getting searched, and your computer is getting seized, and you're being called an enemy of the state. This stuff happens like ding, 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 ding. You know what I mean? Really quick. And this is scary shit. This is super scary shit.
And like, I know a lot. We have a strong community defense, of course, but it's also like, just the thing of being accused, prosecuted, defamed, and humiliated by the cops in front of a community, in front of people, is a trauma. You can't, so even if I wouldn't be prosecuted, right?
Right.
I still have to explain all this, in that case, to all of these people. And what am I going to say? That I read Marx. What the fuck? Like, what? That is genuinely horrifying.
Right.
I do not know how to process that. I haven't processed it. Like, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. That's why we're doing this stream, right? Because I am fucking scared.
Yeah. No, as you should be. As you should be. What now? Like, what are the organizations doing? Do you all have leftist organizations? Are there protests happening? Is the EU saying anything about this? Are there any sanctions on this, on the direction they're going?
Yeah. So the EU works like the Parliament of Sweden, right? So it's a parliament rather than Senate, and they are kicking out the liberals, basically. The liberals are, you can get fucked because what you're doing in Sweden. We
Right.
don't agree with liberals uh, communicating with fascists in this kind of sense. Um, which is wow, liberals doing something good. Congratulations! I
Yeah.
applaud you.
Yeah. The
Um,
bar is on the ground, and they were able to step over without tripping. Yeah.
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 For me and for a lot of other people, especially maybe trans people as well, we are organizing. We are doing things like we're organizing. We have our own bread tube organization in which we try to collab all lefty creators, content creators, under one roof, so we can promote each other, stuff like that. Uh, we are trying to fight through the unions, uh, like the syndicalists and stuff like that, and we are fighting in the streets, like actually fighting in the streets. We had an anti-fascist knifed in the head last week.
Oh Jesus.
So we're like, yeah, it's difficult, right? So we try to organize an organization is fine. Try to do that. But it's gonna take a lot of personal courage. It's gonna take a lot from me, for example.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's going to take a lot from the people I know, but we are going to be in the streets and we are going to fight. We do not yield and we do not accept anything that comes from this overall. We are united, but it will take some time for us to form, our formations and actually fight back. And for the first time in 20 years or something like that, Black Bloc is back, which means that people are arming themselves, getting violent
That's it.
in the streets, fighting the police. It's like this. I have said that it never had to become like this, but you're kind of pushing it. Like we need to uh, stand up for ourselves. I know a lot of people fleeing. I know a lot of trans
Which
people
is
moving out of.
understandable. Yeah.
I know a lot of trans people looking for places to move to. I can't blame them, but this is real. Like I told my parents about this, and they're like, "Yeah, but it's not gonna be that bad." But it is that bad.
Absolutely.
Like it is horrific and it's scary. But we will fight, and I will fight, and I will do that the best way I can. I do a lot of history readings on my channel uh, and stuff like that because sometimes I feel like people need to know about history because that's the way we learn how to handle this. You know, and I don't want to be alarmist like the right wings are. They're always talking about a fucking civil war or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
That is not gonna happen. Like we will fight through unions and through history and through streams that we do and through our own bread tube that I talked about. We will fight with information. We will fight. So it's like, so
Have
it's
you all
like
seen
it's
protests now? Are protests happening, or are you still in organizing phase?
they are happening.
Good.
We just had some people uh, protesting for the climate catastrophe, jailed and imprisoned for disturbance. So we have a
What
fight.
did they throw soup on a painting? Is that what they did?
No, they
I'm just
glued
kidding.
themselves on the street
Oh wow.
and they
Jesus.
got several months in prison. Uh, and yeah, so we have a fight,
Yeah.
right? I don't have any good ending to this.
Sure.
Like
No.
it's
No.
like
No. But that's good. I like what Scott said. I like what you said. Right. That you will not yield. There has to be some some heart and knowing that the fight is out there. Skogs puts in the chat, don't mourn, organize, right? And so it makes sense to be sad about what's happening to your country. I mean, I can relate on some level because of 2016 and January 6th and the rise of
Oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like we have a lot of these things. I can be grateful that some fucking how, right, that we're not where y'all are at just yet. But I know, I'm just gonna do a little plug here, right? I was talking about labels earlier, and
Yep.
how socialist is typically is I guess the best thing, but I am a democratic socialist, right? And so what I find interesting is the idea that these are people, the people doing this are the people who were voted into power. Like this could not have happened without those people winning the amount of votes that they did in Sweden, right?
No.
And so I want to kind of take this opportunity during the election season in the United States and then the election season for whatever country you're from to understand that no, you cannot, you will not undo capitalism with voting. You will not get out of the system of oppression through voting, right? That I understand that. But what you can do is prevent what's happening right now in Italy, what's happening right now in Sweden, and what could very well happen to the United States again. What happened in 2016, and we saw all the increase, the new damage. The damage has always been there, right? White supremacy is not new. Nothing here. Like Trump didn't start anything, but there was an ember. There was a low fire that 2016 gas was thrown on top of, and anybody who thinks that their vote doesn't matter needs to understand and look around the entire world, not even just the United States, the entire world, and watch these failings that happen through the vote. And so please get out there and vote. But if all you do is vote, realize that there's not going to be, you also have to organize. You also have to get to the streets. You also have to participate in civil disobedience. Like you have to make your voice heard, but please don't ignore voting.
I agree.
Yeah.
In my closing out statement on
Yeah,
this,
please. Yeah.
will be as a socialist here in Sweden, as an active communist that has posted a lot of communist shit online.
Well said, Enzo.
And said so. This is scary. But while it is scary for me, I think that it's important that we don't forget our LGBTQ people, in especially trans people.
Yep.
You need to fight for their rights, and we need to keep fighting for their rights. You can't give up on them. And what I want to say is, like, I am not gonna be like silenced or anything in the first. I'm white, so but keep having that in mind whenever you do activism or anything. Think that the people, the person that is waving the Rojava flag, or the person that is waving the Sapmi flag, they are fighting a very different fight, and they need your support. And it is now that you can give them that support for you. And that is what I have to say.
Oh no!